Hello, Naomi here. It's time to talk about the games I picked up in April of 2024. This month I bought 39 games on a variety of systems. Because these are new pickups, I haven't had a chance to play most of them yet, but without further ado, let's get into it and take a look at what I picked up. Let's start with Xbox pickups. I really love Sherlock Holmes and really whodunits in general, so I ended up going down a little rabbit hole and grabbing some Sherlock games. Sherlock Holmes vs. Jack the Ripper is an adventure game with puzzle elements. This is actually the fifth game in the series, but the first one released onto the Xbox. The Testament of Sherlock Holmes and then Crimes and Punishment are the sequels. I'm still on the hunt for The Devil's Daughter. These aren't highly acclaimed games or anything. Their Metacritic scores range from 64 to 71, so these aren't going to be for everyone, but this is a genre and IP that I really love. I just want to own all the Sherlock games, so I'm happy to finally add these three to my collection. Here are the horror Xbox titles that I picked up this month. A Plague's Tale: Innocence is the rare game that I've already played but didn't own. I had completed this game some time ago on Game Pass, but loved it so much that as soon as I was done playing, I knew I would have to get it physically at some point. This is an action-adventure survival horror game where you're playing as two siblings as they run from Inquisition soldiers and swarms of rats. The story is so good. The journey the siblings' relationship takes was very moving. I would say the horror elements are pretty tame unless you have a fear or aversion to rats, which I do, so this 100% counts as a horror game in my book. Innocence is the first game, and Requiem is the second game, which I've also already played digitally. I'm also wanting to pick up the second game physically at some point. I also picked up a couple RPG titles for the Xbox. This copy of The Witcher 2 came with a two-sided map, which instantly sold me because I love maps so much. Solstice was a rare blind buy for me. I found this at GameStop for really cheap, and I just really liked the art direction of this game. It really looks beautiful, so I decided it was worth a try. Its Metacritic score is currently sitting at a 68%, which isn't great, but not too bad either. Also, there just aren't a lot of RPGs on the Xbox compared to other consoles, so I tend to pick up that genre in general for the Xbox if I find a game at a good price. Lord of the Rings: Battle for Middle-earth 2 is a strategy game. Now this game, I'm very excited to play, and I'm really happy to have this in my Xbox 360 collection. I love the Lord of the Rings theme, I really enjoy strategy games, and this game has a Metacritic score of 79, so it was a no-brainer in my mind. Xbox 360 prices have been on the rise, but many titles are still very cheap. As of the time of recording this, it's still a very affordable console to be collecting games for. I did end up grabbing a couple more Kinect games. I'm pretty sure I'm done collecting Kinect games for now, unless I stumble across something in the future that looks like fun. My son is a huge Dragon Ball fan, so of course I had to pick up Dragon Ball Z for Kinect. We did play this game a bit, and I would say of all the Kinect games we've played so far, unfortunately, this one had the worst controls, and it does impact the game quite a bit. That being said, I don't regret picking it up because we still had a good time playing it, but just be aware the IP is doing some heavy lifting in the value of this game. Turok Evolution is a first-person shooter and the only original Xbox game I picked up this month. This game is a prequel to the Turok series and is backwards compatible on the Xbox 360 console. So when I'm in the mood to battle some dinosaurs, I'll have Turok Evolution waiting for me. Only one PC game this month with Outpost by Sierra. I'm not actively collecting PC games, but occasionally I find one out in the wild that I can't pass up. In this game, Earth was destroyed, and your ship contains the last of humanity. Your goal is to recolonize on an alien planet. Similarly to games such as SimCity, there's an isometric third-person perspective. Moving on to PlayStation, I picked up one PS1 game which I've already played and you can see me talk about in my Games I Played in April video. This month I got one PlayStation 2 game with 007 Everything or Nothing, a first-person shooter. This game has some good reviews and is two-player, which is the aspect that sold me. This is honestly a game that is more to my husband's taste than my own, but I think we'll have a lot of fun playing it together. I picked up two Steelbook Edition games and the deluxe edition of Granblue Fantasy Relink. I do have an unboxing short if you would like to see what is inside this deluxe edition. Granblue Fantasy Relink is an action RPG. This game is set in a world where islands of all shapes and sizes float in a sea of clouds. You become an airship captain as you set sail for a legendary island. This is a newer game that was released only this year, but I was already able to snag this deluxe edition on a deep discount. I've heard pretty good things about this game, so I think it will be a lot of fun when I eventually get around to playing it. Here are some more RPGs I picked up this month. Now, I own several games in the Trials of Cold Steel series, but they've all ended up in my backlog because I've always wanted to start at the beginning. Well, I finally have the first 2 games in the series, which have been on my wish list for quite some time. I ended up getting the European versions because the North American versions are so expensive, even though it's the same game. I've already started playing the first game and I love it so far. I'm actually currently playing it on the Portal. I'm so excited to finally get to experience these games for myself. There are so many great games I still need to play, and the PlayStation has an amazing library of games. Shadow of Colossus is a critically acclaimed game that I've never played. This is an action-adventure with a Metacritic score of 91. The giant creatures in the trailer look amazing. I've heard great things, so I hope my expectations aren't set too high, but I really think I'm going to enjoy this game. Styx Shards of Darkness and Yonder are both adventure games. And then we have Earth Defense Force 4.1, which is a first-person shooter. I really think this is an amazing time to be collecting for the PlayStation. Now, I'm finding many of these PlayStation 4 games for under $10. I'm not much of a speculator. I can't say what PlayStation 4 prices will be like in the future, but when I can consistently find games I want to play around the $10 mark, I personally think that is a great value for a game. For the Wii and Wii U, I have some Spider-Man games. Spider-Man Web of Shadows is an action-adventure. The Metacritic scores for this game are mostly sitting in the 60s depending on which version you're playing. But I've heard really good things about this title that makes me think it may be better than the score suggests. The Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions of this game have become very expensive, so the Wii version is a more affordable option if you're just wanting to experience the story. This version does have the lowest score, and I'm assuming that probably has to do with the motion controls, but I still think this will be a lot of fun on the Wii. Some horror games for the Switch with White Day, A Labyrinth Named School, and Dollhouse. In Dollhouse, you're playing as a detective with amnesia, and you have to navigate the horrors of your own mind to uncover memories. In the reviews I've seen, it seems to have a good story, but issues with controls and performance, so that's something to be aware of. It also seems to be on the pricey side, which I think it's probably not worth those eBay prices. I found this copy at an antique mall of all places for less than the original retail. So this isn't a title for everyone, but I'm really happy to add more horror to my Switch collection. Here is Little Friends Puppy Island. This game has some of the same vibes as Nintendogs, and it's said to be a spiritual successor, which I do enjoy those games even though admittedly they aren't the best. I've actually seen some surprisingly really good reviews for this game. I feel like it's been getting passed over because of the previous game, Little Friends Cats and Dogs, which got pretty bad reviews across the board. But it seems that they really stepped it up for this entry. This game just looks really cute, and I'm glad I stumbled across it. Alright, just one last group of games here. Nexomon Complete Collection and Harvestella are both action-adventure RPGs. And then we have Process of Elimination, which is a visual novel mystery adventure that I've heard compared to Danganronpa. So yes, another whodunit game, but you know, I know what I like. A funny thing is, in my very first GameStop game hunting short, I was actually looking at this very copy of Process of Elimination. I had kept my eye on it, and during a sale, I finally snagged it. The wait was definitely worth it. Well, that's all for this month. In this haul, I bought some games I'm super excited about playing. Some of these have been on my wish list for quite some time. What games did you pick up in April? Let me know down in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed this video, consider giving a like and subscribing, and until next time, happy gaming.